Side of ECM. And today's webinar topic is 3 best practices in document automation. The main body of this webinar takes about 35 minutes. And we are planning on 10 minutes for questions and answers after that. And finally, today's webinar will end promptly at 2 p.m. Eastern. During the webinar, if anybody has a problem, text me in chat window, please. Now, I am pleased to introduce today's presenter, Dan Shields. Dan has worked in and around information management for over 30 years, and he is the president and CEO of Orienge. Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maria, for that introduction, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. I can see that we have a fair number of people signed up and participating, some in the New York State, Connecticut area, and some international. So welcome to everybody. I am the president and CEO of Orienge, and we like to promote some of the webinar series that we do. Today's series is called The Practical Side of Enterprise Content Management. How did we come up with this series? We believe that the topic of enterprise content management is very sophisticated and detailed, and that at times it can lead to theoretical discussions. These theoretical discussions tend to leave the specific topics that are more practical related to problems that people have. So we've created this series so that we can be practical, talk practically, and try and share practical solutions with people like you who are interested in information management and enterprise content management in general. Today's subject of the webinar in the practical series is, in fact, document automation. If you were to look up document automation in Wiki, you could see that it's defined as a design of systems and workflow to assist in the creation of electronic documents. This is at the core of any enterprise content management system, and in fact at the core of your company as you look in to share our best practices, because it is just absolutely critical. So within the subject of document automation, there are 3 topics that we're going to have today. The first topic is text creation. The second topic is collaboration for approval, and the third topic is storage for later use. In order to make it through these 3 topics in our subject of document automation today, we're going to create a case scenario. In this case scenario, we use a showroom for our demonstration purposes for our platform that's called Contera. In the Contera showroom, we've created a company called Radiotech. For today's webinar, we are going to be focusing on a person named Jennifer Taylor, who you can see there in the picture. Jennifer is a very hard-working head of the sales department at Radiotech, and she definitely likes to be on top of her documents and her tasks that she's given on a day-to-day basis. Her boss is CEO James Smith, and he's a tough guy. He really likes to make sure that when tasks are given that they're met, and not just met in a timely manner, but met in an effective manner. She knows for certain that when she is trying to get certain approvals for the documents that she creates, that she has to send them off to the legal department. The legal department of Radiotech is a guy named Justin Foster, who you can see there. Looks like he had a bad night last night and forgot to shave either his full goatee, or he shaved half of it last night having fun with his friends. Either way, he is running the legal department for Radiotech, and Jennifer receives a task from the CEO. And the CEO says, Jennifer, I need you to create a non-disclosure agreement for a supply partner that we're looking to further our discussions with. Okay, so that is our case, and we'll be visiting these people as we go through. What options does Jennifer have? She knows she wants to accomplish her task starting with text creation, and she has a number of ways that she can do this. I've written some of these out. I'm going to leave the PowerPoint for a moment, and we're going to go into a demonstration. Okay, so we're going to bring up Jennifer's workstation, and you see this is her workspace. She has a couple of options. We're going to pick an old-fashioned way for Jennifer to solve the problem to begin with. Okay, she's done a search and she created a folder on her desktop with pre-existing non-disclosure agreements from the company. She sees that it was done, and she knows that, in fact, if I just copy this and I create another document, I can, in fact, go in and edit out the old information and put in all my new information, and I can accomplish my task. So she copies it and she brings up Word. We've highlighted, for the sake of the demonstration, some key fields that she's going to need to change. Obviously, when she brings it up, they would not be highlighted. But start. Okay, we need to change the effective date of the agreement. We're going to put the 15th. We need to change the fact that Mobile Auto was used for this version of the agreement, and we're smart users with Word, so we're going to do a global change. We're going to swap it out for the company that we're supposed to create this with, which is Morris & Sons, and we're going to replace all of these. Okay? Now we're going to work our way down through the document. Okay, so I'm working my way down, and I see, oh, wait a second. Oh, the date that this document was created was back in November. I need to change this date. Okay, Jennifer's lucky because in this demonstration scenario, these particular fields were highlighted for you. Pretty easy to miss. But she'll go down. She knows that there's a section as it relates to sending information back and forth between the parties. She's proofreading it, which is always a best practice. So she's going to scroll down. She's going to get to this section with information. And she's going to say, okay, there's our information. The Mobile Auto is there, but now I have the information from the prior customer that this was with. So I've got to change this. So I need to go find, well, where is this information? So she's got to go find it, and in fact, this is very difficult to do. It is labor intensive. If you scroll down to the bottom, you could see that it's got the wrong CEO in there. If I ever sent this document out with David Johns when it was really somebody else, this would be horrible. Your reputation would be hurt. You might lose the potential deal that you're working on. So let's just stop doing it this way. What alternatives does Jennifer have to do this? Now, we're thinking from a best practice perspective. Jennifer, on her workstation here, is running the Contera platform, and she's going to bring up the Contera Explorer. Now, the most logical next way to proceed is to find a template that exists. Okay, so since Jennifer entered the workplace, she sees she has this task that's now been given to her by her boss. So let's open the task quickly. She can see that it comes from James Smith, the CEO. He's a tough guy. I got to do this. I got to make sure that I meet this deadline. We're ready to further the relationship. I want an NDA. I want it approved internally. I want it sent out for execution. And I want to make sure you store these results so I can use them later and that we can all use them later. Okay, how do I accomplish this task? Radio Tech has taken the time to create templates that can be used by, in fact, this Contera system to pre-fill and create a document on the roll. So I pick a certain type. It's a non-disclosure agreement. I say, okay, I'm going to take this non-disclosure agreement. I'm going to proceed each document, and the Contera system has a card, so I'm going to start filling out this card with some dynamic information. This information says I want the document date to be 12/19 to give some time. The partner is, and I can in fact search for the partner. Okay, I see there's Morris. I can grab the information on Morris. The contact, I can click to go find. It's Sophia Bodzin, who is the CEO of the company. The contract category is going to be an NDA, and the subject is going to be a service relationship. So I'm going to proceed out and save this, and I'll worry about the access rights later. The Contera system brings up Word, and now, wow, look, this is very nice. I can see that this template that was organized by smart people is utilized standard information kept about a service partner like Morris and incorporates dynamic data that I've given it on the run, like the effective date that you see there. So let's just scroll down and take a look, because proofreading is always a best practice. There's the date that the document was created. That's nice. It's in all the footers. I'll come back to this paragraph in a little while. I want to get down because I still want to proofread this thing. Okay, I get down, I see the correct information is there. I'm going to go look at the signatures at the bottom. Okay, great. That's the right information. So now I'm going to save this. And now, what has she done? She has taken a smart way to go pre-fill a document. And let me bring it back to my screen here. Okay. What has she done then for these best practices? She has used a trusted source of templates. She has used a trusted source of information to pre-fill the templates, and she has used a software system to in fact incorporate the template and the trusted source of information with some dynamic information that's provided. So we've constructed our first best practice. Users need a process to create or originally assemble a new document, we'll call it text creation, that is consistent, controllable for all types of documents. It reduces my chance to make a human error. It minimizes the amount of data that I have typed. It certainly minimizes duplicate data entry. It reduces the time spent or required. Remember, we think that proofreading is always a good last step in the electronic world. And it has access to trusted libraries of templates. It has access to trusted data for prefill. And it has the ability to prefill based on certain conditions. Now, we didn't do a conditional prefill, but we'll get to that in a little while. Next. Jennifer continues forward. I've created the document. Now, what do I do? Okay, you can see in this there's a few ways that she can go about it. Let's go back to the system demonstration and try and show some of the ways. Okay, so Jennifer is back logged into Contera, and she knows that she's created this document that exists up at the top. And if she's going to collaborate, it means she's going to interface with one or more people in her organization to try and accomplish something specific. In this case, she needs to get it approved. So what ways can she do this? In a best practice scenario, she can send it to the person that she knows who's responsible, which is the person who's running the legal department. So task, but the guy running the legal department, I just can't remember. Was it Justin Farmer? Was it Justin? She's not that smart. She can't remember. The guy's relatively new. And so, oh, look, I can access all my other users. This is nice. So I open up the lawyer's side. Oh, it's Foster, Justin Foster. So I add him, and I'm going to send him a task that's included with this document that I created, and I'm going to say I really need to get this part legally approved now because I need to get it effective for Monday, and I click OK. Now, does this really make good best practice sense? Because the reality is Jennifer doesn't really know what happens after Justin gets done. He's going to get done and give it back to her. So the better way to go about this would be for the company to have utilized the best practice that said, we're going to analyze our business process of contract approval for non-disclosures. We know who it goes to, and in fact, we know who is going to, and in what timing, do things on the document. So Jennifer started this task, and you can see in her outbox, you can pop it up, and there it is. So now she has some management capability of this task to see where it is. She takes a quick look at the scheme. She sees that she started this. She sees that it's sitting in Justin's desk and he hasn't done anything yet. And then she says, well, wait, I have to make this webinar demo for Dan a little bit easier, so I'm going to do it a different way. So we X out of this, and we're going to bring the task back up, and we're going to try and restart it. But in this case, Radio Tech has taken this time to analyze the business process, and they have created a standard route. Okay, so let's check the standard route, which has already been brought up. There it is. I'm going to do the contract documents approval. And let's take a quick look at what this route looks like. Now, instead of sending this document just to Justin at the legal department for approval, you see a sophisticated series of steps that goes through in a beautiful graphical depiction that comes from Contera to show you how workflow works. You can see that the document changed its life cycle, so it went from draft to in approval. You can see that it checks to see if supervisors exist, sends them to them for review. The approver can say, no, I want to send it back for revision, or in this case, it was done so brilliantly that Jennifer did a great job and I approve it, in which case the life cycle changes to approval, then the document gets printed, it gets signed, the life cycle status gets changed, and it gets sent out for the partner to sign. They sign it, and it comes back, and the task is done. So from a best practices perspective, we'll come back. Okay. From a best practices perspective, what has Jennifer done? She's created this document. She's put it into a collaborative effort through workflow and a standard route to move it through. She was able to find the information about Morris by clicking. She was able to find the information about the CEO. She was able to find the standard route. She was able to do all of these functions by herself. But using Contera, Jennifer also knows that she has some magic in the Radio Tech bag of tricks, and she says, I need to conditionally create this template, meaning the non-disclosure agreement is going to have two different sections in it. If it's going to go to a particular kind of person, it's going to have one paragraph. If it's going to go to another type of person, it's going to go to another. So in Contera's case, instead of it being a template, there's an advanced template that we call a mock-up. Now, we've done a pre-existing search for this mock-up, and we're going to bring it up and take a quick look at it. So what is different about this mock-up to a template? Well, you can see that it's set up to do some programming. It's added barcoding. And by the way, this barcoding is a unique ID that's established to this document. We at Orienge have a complete webinar based on best practices with barcoding, so we're just sort of setting the table there. But we'll come back. This template is wired and programmed, and we'll talk about how to do this later, but you can see that it has some conditional programming within it. And it says here, there are two section 3s. One says, if you want to allow everybody to see this particular section, you pick yes. The second section, if you want to not allow everybody, you would pick no. Okay, so use your imagination with me. This is a non-disclosure agreement, and maybe not the best example, but you know that when you're creating documents or contracts, there's always conditional items. And if Jennifer has to keep multiple versions of templates to handle all of the needs for these conditional requirements that are going to continue to pop up, then she'd have to maintain a library of templates of non-disclosures. Then if the law changed and she went to update her library of templates, she'd have to make sure she did all of the templates, where it would be easier to do one. So now, using Contera and a mock-up, we're going to make this conditional parameter exist in one document, and now we're going to ask the wizard to come out of Contera and run a wizard, which is a preset series of actions, the same preset series of actions that in fact took place when I walked through all the items that Jennifer did before. So yes, I'm going to pick the non-disclosure agreement. I'm going to send it out for approval. The wizard says, who do you want to do it with? Morris. Who's the responsible party at Morris? Sophia. What's the contract date? Well, he knows it's 12/15, but when do you want it to be effective? Okay, give him to the 19th. Now, here's the question. The wizard says, you have a mock-up that has a conditional input. By the way, you can have as many of these conditional inputs as you want, and the wizard will ask you questions about all of them. So do we want everyone to see the information we put in our non-disclosure agreement, we're going to select no, and then we're going to ask the wizard to generate our document for us. And, in fact, generate the workflow, the standard route that goes with this document, and get it started. First, the wizard will show us what he did. Beautiful. You pre-filled all the stuff, just like the other example that we gave, but you put the barcode in there, which I like, and I'm going to come down to paragraph 3, section 3, in our case, and there's only one. It's the one for top managers only, because we said we didn't want everybody to see it. So again, using your imagination, Jennifer has the option to do conditional prefill. You can do conditional prefill, you can do variable prefill, you can do prefill from different pieces of documents. The wizard is very powerful, and he's ready to go to work for you. So now he's still working for you, and he in fact has put together the task and said, do you want to start it? Jennifer, being a very productive person, says, of course I do. And the wizard says, fine. I started it and was sent. Now let's go take a look, just like Jennifer did before. She checks her outbox. You notice that these folders in the interface in Contera are very familiar. It looks just like Outlook and Microsoft comfortable. This entire architecture works on top and beautifully integrated with Microsoft. So she opens it up. She says, where is this task right now? And she sees that it's started and it's moving down the cycle, and you've already witnessed the rest of this stuff. So let's go back to my PowerPoint. And let me accept this. And we've now concluded best practice number 2, which is collaboration for approval. And what is this best practice? Users need a process to accomplish work tasks, or in our case, approval, with others in the organization, collaboration for approval. What are the criteria? It needs to use a workflow solution that's compliant with standards and gives you the ability and flexibility to see and control things. It needs to be able to create a standard route that you can use over and over and over again, because these are actions that happen all the time at Radiotech. Jennifer is tasked to create these NDAs all the time. So she wants to use the wizard to be even more effective than she can be just by using templates. It needs to provide a controllable environment. You saw Jennifer that she was setting deadlines. She told the wizard what deadlines she wanted. The wizard is administering those deadlines. And if we logged in as Justin, which we won't do for this demo, you could see that he received the task and those deadlines. And you need to be able to access rights. So if I sent a document through a standard workflow and I didn't assign rights to everybody that was involved in the workflow, that would be bad, and you'd be getting calls. I have your document, but I can't open it. And as IT managers are out there, they're probably looking at these best practices going, wow, if my users would just do this, I'd be getting a lot less calls. So it's very important that the collaboration for approval best practices empower you to do these things. So now let's continue forward. Jennifer has created the text. She has, in fact, gotten the proper approval for the text, and now our boss says, I need you to store this for me for later so that I can use it. Jennifer has a lot of options. The first option is pretty simple. She can save it in her workstation private area, and she can access it. And anytime her boss says, can I access it, it'll be available. Only for Jennifer. So it doesn't make sense for her to do that. She needs to go into a common space. At companies, like the companies of everybody who's listening, you might have a single repository. If you do, we think that's great. It's the perfect best practice. But if you have shared drives or multiple repositories, man, when Jennifer's boss wants to access this document and he can't find it, and he's got to go to Jennifer, and she's got to say, I need to stop doing what I'm doing, and I can get you that document, it's very ineffective. So let's go look at a different way. So we're going to go back to our demo. Okay, and in my demo, I go back, and I'm Jennifer logged in here. So what are the keys really to storing a document? What we're all used to is searching for documents, and that's probably the best way for us to step into this. When you do a standard search, everybody in the Microsoft universe is used to searching by the title, pieces of the title, by pieces of the body of the text, or using the standard metadata that accompanies documents. But sometimes it just produces a lot of results, and it's tough to find the right document, or you find an older version of the document. So let's just run a couple search criteria. I know I've created this document. I'm Jennifer. I'm still working. And I say, let me find documents related to organizations. And I'm just going to put the organization name in there. I know it's Morris, and I search. Okay. Wow, all these documents. No, I didn't want all these. I just wanted the documents that I had with Morris that were non-disclosure agreements. So let me modify this criteria. Non-disclosure. I search. So okay, well the list is a little bit smaller now, but I know I'm just looking for documents from Morris that I've in fact, that are NDAs that are active. So let me change the criteria once more. Now the search results in one document. So Jennifer's technique from a best practice perspective to store this document looks like it's working good, because not only can Jennifer find it, but anybody in the organization who has access rights, certainly her boss has access rights to this document, can do it. Let's take a quick peek up at this. Okay, 2 versions. Okay, wait a second. What I know I did was I had that first version, and I can take a look at it, and remember, it's the Word file. Since it's been signed internally, by the way, when Jennifer opens it, the system reminds her, yeah, I'm going to let you open it, but it's signed and you cannot make any changes to it. Okay? Okay, well, that's the document I'm used to. But what happened? I printed this document out when I was done. I had our people sign it, and I sent it off to the Sophia at Morris, and she signed the document. And when it came back, we had the original, which we always keep our originally signed documents in a folder, but I wanted to scan it and make it available electronically, not as a completely separate file, but as the second version of this file. And mind you, you can have as many versions as you want to a file. So if I open the fully executed side, you're again reminded that you can't change it. We see this barcode, and you see that Sophia has in fact signed this document. So this is now available. So the search criteria is very important, not just to have a way to search, but to have multiple ways to search, and in fact, a way to search that enables you to find it in a very targeted way. Now let's come back out for a minute. And I want to stay here. So I want to show one more thing, so let's go back to the demo. I apologize. So when I leave this document, I'm done working, and I'm still Jennifer, and I'm best practices that say, I really want to clean up my workspace. I don't want all these files around here, so I'm going to go back to this file, and I just want to delete that file because I think it's extra. Okay, so wait a second. Contera, the system says you can't delete this document, and I'm a little frustrated. However, if this was the only copy of the document and the system let me delete it, and then I go to the IT people and I say, the system deleted my file and I can't find it. I need to go back to the backup from a week ago. And the IT manager says, I did, but you created the file in the last couple days. It's not in the backup yet. This is a problem. So a best practice would be, if the repository is holding all of my information, why can't I just delete the link, which is really all that I'm using, so I don't have to look at it? Well, look at this nice feature. Delete the link. It reminds you, Contera says, you can delete this link, but you know that we're not deleting the object, which is the document. I tell Contera, thank you for telling me that. And now it's not clogging up my workspace, but anytime I want to access it, and I'll run a quick search to show you that it's not deleted, search, and you can see that, you know, some recently used stuff, but I can say search for stuff that I created, Jennifer. And search for stuff that I created today. Okay, there's the document. It's back and available up at the top. This is a beautiful system, and I love it, and I'm happy that you guys are sharing it with me. So now let's come back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so what I wanted to do now is to proceed to the third best practice. So we were talking about storing for later use. It needs to create a process that enables me to store my work results so that I can support multiple versions, I can support multiple life cycles, I can in fact support multiple document formats in the same document with different versions. I can utilize a single repository so that I can clean up my workspace effectively and never really have risk of deleting documents. Now some people are out there and they say, wait a minute, what do you mean users can't delete their own documents? And the power users may be thinking that, but the IT managers are saying, you know, thank you so much that they can't delete these files because it causes us so much problem, so much work to go and find these files after they accidentally delete them, and we don't want that to happen. And thirdly, that it enables very quick and effective search options, or in fact, I mean, they don't have to be quick. You could just say search for documents that I authored, or search for all documents that were created in a date period. You can do broad-based searches, but the reality is all search capabilities in a best practice scenario should save you time. So you should be able to put in 2 or 3 criteria and bam, get right to the document that you're looking for. So let's review these best practices. I'm not going to reread them because this is just a repeat of them. But here's the key. If users have a best practice that gives them a consistent way to create things, a consistent way to get things improved, and these don't have to be contracts, right? It could be a business plan. It could be a proposal, a request for a proposal that you got from somebody. We're talking about contracts, but I want you to keep your mind open that these don't have to be document types called contracts. They could be financial reports or something else. But if, in fact, the users have this consistent and controlled system that allows the types of best practices seen here, and clearly down at the IT manager level, their workload has gotten to be much, much easier. And any time that somebody says they've done something to a document, these are tools not just for the IT manager, they're tools that the users can use. So the users are going to bring less problems to the IT people at the same point in time. So before I leave this slide, I want to make a note on best practices. The best practices are proven methods to do things. And what do people do if they listen to a best practice and they actually like it? Generally, they would take this best practice and they'd incorporate it into the policies and procedures at their company. And in very advanced cases, they wouldn't just incorporate their best practices into the policies and procedures. They would adopt a system that empowered them to manage these best practices and policies and procedures for them. And in fact, Contera is exactly that. And for over 15 years, by working with best practices and coming up with requirements, Contera has been designed to help people be more productive with the information that they're managing. So this moves us to the questions and answers. And there's one question that we're always asked, so I'll take the floor to ask the first question, and it's the following. When we talk about best practices and show how Contera helps organizations and users manage these best practices, we often get the question of, well, yeah, but how long did it take you to program that stuff you just showed me? You showed me a template, and you showed me this powerful wizard that took a mock-up and automatically did things that took Jennifer multiple clicks to do. Here's the specific answer. The pre-filled template that you saw for the non-disclosure agreement took about half an hour to create. Very simple. Program it, get the card, go get the information, and it pre-fills itself. Additionally, what amount of time and effort did it take to create the mock-up and make the wizard do all that work for Jennifer? It took about 6 to 8 hours to do it. It takes some development time, and our development language is really quite straightforward, and test time, so probably 50-50. So it's not complicated, but that's the case. Okay, here's another question. from Max Robinson. Thank you, Max, for this question. What are document security options with regard to access rights and encryption and other things? So I love this question, and in fact, we have a complete webinar on just this topic. But to show you, I want to go back quickly to the demonstration. I want to go back quickly to the demonstration. And I just want to right-click on this document, and I want to set the access rights. So Max, here's the reality. You can not give any rights to anybody for the document that you're using, or you can give some rights to document users. In this case, all users have it. So if I click here, you can see, oh, and in this particular one, can we just bring up one that I can change? Go quickly. In this particular case, if I click here, you can see that you can give full rights, which gives a user the right to not just view and change, but to change the rights. You can give somebody the right to change the document or somebody to just view the document. But additionally, if you say to yourself, that's not enough. I'm working with confidential information in my documents, and I don't want anybody to see it. You can encrypt by password. Now, the reality is encrypting by password is somewhat dangerous because once you encrypt by password, we can't get it, right? And again, this is a future webinar, but Max, this button that's sitting right there by certificate will let you use a token and the industry standard security to set this so that you and anybody who you say are the only ones, and even the system administrator, can't get to it. So let's go back to the webinar. That was a great question. Okay. Next question. Okay. This is from Walt. You talked about best practices and then talked about Contera's solution to business processes, which is fine. But can I just use Microsoft Office to do the same thing? You can certainly try, but for the last 15 years, we've not been trying to replace Microsoft Office with Contera. We've been trying to make Microsoft Office much more productive. It is very difficult to utilize Microsoft to do even a fraction of the controlled user environment, the task management, and the document management things, not to mention the ability to program at a simple level. So, Walt, I encourage you to give our senior sales representative a call and talk to him, because if you're thinking that you can, we would really like to talk to you and show you the benefits that you can get. Okay, next question. This is from Fred. The contract handling capabilities are very impressive. Here we really don't have that many contracts to manage. We use Word, Excel, and Outlook. I agree they may not be state-of-art and best practices, but my concern is how cost-effective will it be to use Contera for just a handful of contracts. Every company, Fred, is different, and when we give best practices, they're always implemented in different ways because companies have different cultures, different documents, different business processes, different users, and different business focuses. So even in the same industry, two companies are never the same. What we encourage you to do is to take us up on our offer where we can come in and do a quick assessment to help you to see where you are in terms of document maturity and business process maturity and where Contera can take you. Great question. Okay, so it looks like those are the only questions. I'd like to go to one other slide. Hold on. I'm sorry. There's one more question that comes in from Max. Max is asking a lot of questions, and we like it. What is digital signature? How do I use it, and what happens if I export a document outside of my repository? Another great question. Max obviously has a lot of experience in content management and document management. So when in Contera, when a digital signature is applied to a document, it locks this document. Even if Jennifer's boss goes to get into the document to make the changes, you saw Contera remind them, you can't. The document is locked and you cannot change it. When it's sent outside, Contera gives you the ability to export the document from the repository outside to somebody. It could be emailed out like people are comfortable to do it. And when it comes back signed, it can be imported back in as a new version to the document. And, in fact, you're welcome, Max. And, in fact, as I said, these access rights is a complete webinar that we do. So, Max, I hope that that you'll come and attend that webinar because there are a lot of scenarios of users internally with rights and accesses and users externally with rights and accesses. Again, I go back to the name of the webinar series. It's the practical side, because it's not practical to think that a business can just exist with its own users and documents internally. Documents must be shared outside, and if you're using an enterprise content management system, you need to have a best practice that enables you to let the documents outside the system from time to time. Okay, let me move forward here. So what are your next steps with Orienge? We want to be your trusted resource for enterprise content management. We want to be there for any questions that you might have. We have an extensive knowledge base, 15 plus years of experience with over 1,000 customers. So if you're thinking about ECM, if you have an ECM that's not working for you, we definitely want to talk to you. And if you have an ECM that even is working for you but you're having issues, we want to be on the other end of that conversation with you. You can see my little major reminder. What did we do? We choose a webinar subject, and we go with the 3 topics. It's this small little piece of the core ECM functionality that exists today. It's an important piece, but it's a small one. So we wanted to share it with you, but when I show this picture, I want you to know Contera is so much more than this little document automation platform. It gives you the ability to do all the core ECM functions, digital signatures, barcoding, version control, shadow copies, collaboration, ad hoc, templates. It does it all. But it has a development platform. It has some sophisticated business solutions in the area of contracts management, records management, and human resources management. We continue to expand our business solutions on a daily basis, and it has advanced applications. If you want to think about data integration, if you're the IT guy and you say, this is great, but how does it talk to my ERP system or to my financial reporting system, we want to have that conversation with you because we've had it with hundreds of IT experts when they implemented our system. So please ask us about our webinars. We'll do them on site if it's appropriate. We'd love to do a full system demonstration or quick assessments that we talked about. I'd love to get you on a dedicated call with one of our ECM specialists or myself. I think I'm one of those too. And we'd like to get you to join the mailing list so we can continue to keep you updated. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Maria. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. I appreciate your time, and have a great holiday.
Thank you, Dan. I would like to thank everyone for participating. You will be able to find the recording of this webinar on our website tomorrow. And we would greatly appreciate any feedback and ideas you may have for us. We will be emailing you a brief survey and would be grateful if you could take a few minutes to share your thoughts with us. And also, if you would like to have the PowerPoint presentation, just let me know, and I will email it to you. Our contacts are on the screen. We close our webinar for today, and I hope you have a great Christmas holiday, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year.